Okay, guys, so let's get on into the basic. First, we have to go and make our UV map. Let me make sure I have this turned on for you. Perfect. So, we're gonna paint this on that wood texture with the steel around it. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and move on to our UV editing. And now you see we have this side right here. This is where our UV is gonna be shown, our UV map. So we're gonna go and click these two, and we're gonna hit the H key. It's gonna get hidden, H for hitting. So after hiding those, we have this the chest all along, so it's gonna be a lot easier to deal with. So the important part here is that we want to visualize how things are gonna be on a flat paper right now. So let for unwrapping, we have a key. After you enter edit mode, you get to see this at so remember, if we hit tab, we can go from object to edit mode. So here in edit mode, we hit A to select all, and if we hit U, and we have another set of tools here, but let's just use unwrap for a minute, and we're gonna hit that, and immediately what you're gonna see is that we had this that just pop up here. So let's take this. Let's select all these with Alt key. Hit U and hit unwrap, and nothing happens. That's because they are already unwrapped. So now that you have them all selected, go over here, hover over this side, click the A key, and S for scale. Scale them down a little bit. G to move. Let's move them here in the corner. And now with our mouse on this side of the screen, hold Control and press I for invert. And that way you can select the inverted. So what we need right here is that currently this is actually quite good in wrap, to tell you the truth. It's usually a lot easier to and a lot harder to just hit the unwrap and it'll work, but sometimes it does. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna actually separate some of these parts here because we want to have the steel away from the wood so we can work in a nicer way. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch to our edge selection here, and now you see we can select the edge. So we're gonna go and hit our diagonal bar here on our slash on the numpad area, so we can have this part alone, and immediately you're gonna see that we still have our solidify. So I do suggest that we go back to options and we apply that solidify. That way when we go back to edit mode, we have all the mesh here that we can work on. Okay, so what we're gonna do is not click here, hold Control, click on the top, click on the bottom, have that. And we're gonna try to go around by holding Shift. You can click and select the specific lines. You can then hold Control, click, and click over here. Remember, I'm moving with the center mouse, the middle mouse button, holding it, I can move, holding Shift and middle mouse, I can pan around. Okay, just remember that. So with shift, select that one. And so we have that side all selected. That's nice. Let's hit Control E to mark seams. We can also hit U for wrapping, UV mapping, and then mark the seams. So seams are like paper cuts. If you've seen origami before, you make different cuts, and that's how you make animals and cool stuff with it. It has like a pattern, and that's what we're building here. So let's grab that one, go all around, hold control the way out, shift, select this one, shift, select that one, control, click, shift to select this one, and we have that. Now press U and mark seam. Okay, great. So now we have to separate this one right here, this panel right here. So click on it, control, so we can go all the way around it. You can put control here, and it'll go all the way around it. Yep. Here, I'll make sure that you are selecting that wooden part, control, and just click control just to go all the way over here. You mark seam. Let's go to the other side and do that. Click, control, click, control here. Keep going all around with your control key. Perfect. Now, hue, so mark seam. And now we want to have this guy separate.
That's just after I said that.
If I got in with mark seam, you can see some of the edges did not select, so make sure you select those. See here. You can sometimes just go inside to make sure, that you got your seams set up. Now, if we are to make this into a flat plane, we want to grab the edges of the corners. Select, click, select, click, select, click, select, click. And this is like opening a paper box. We have to grab the corners and make those into seams. So when we flatten it out, it just open up. Okay. So we can see that just click L. You have your island, and let's click U and unwrap. And right about now, you see that this all just became a whole mess. And this is okay that it happens. That just means that we need to do a little bit more work on the UV. And as you can see, if I move this, hit G, the Y to move it out, you can see we have some geometry here that should not be around. So what we want to do is really actually grab all this geometry that should not be here and get rid of it. Okay, so we're just gonna grab all this. Make sure you unwrap those rivets. Just grabbing all this. Perfect. Okay, so if you have that all selected, press B, and then go onto object mode, and let's see if we actually grabbed it all. We missed a spot, but that's fine. Let's just hit X, delete, go back into it with edit mode, pressing tab, just grab this one right here and X, the faces, and that's gone. Perfect. Now we have here, see that inside here when you move kind of between the lines, those are edges that we need to grab. Yeah, it's so hold control and click on one of those edges, and they're out. X. Now we're gonna delete the edges. Perfect. Now we have that cleaned out. Let's clean up here. Grab these guys here. Clear the seams with the U menu, and then we can hold Alt, click one of the edges, and it'll go around most of them that have a connection. Then you just select the other ones, and then U, mark seam. Great. Now L to select it. Let's move G to move, Y. And remember, when you use the shift, you hold shift, you can do it slowly. Okay. Control S to save. Now let's try unwrapping again. Now, immediately you see that it makes a lot more sense. It's a lot nicer. We still do have some edges here that we don't want. Those are overlapping edges, and these can actually make hard work a little bit harder. So, two things that we can do. We can either make sure that we have the right selection of all the seams. So let's grab those two seams, hit U, and clear them, and then L, U to unwrap. Right, there we go. So those two weren't necessary. Sometimes you just have to revisit what you were doing. The edges that you select. This is a bit of a trial and error depending on the mesh and the object you're working on. So now that we know that we unmarked those seams of these corners, these weren't necessary. So now we have a nice clean arrow looking UV, so we can paint it. That's great. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is hit L here. And right now, to tell you the truth, this is very good. But let's try to see how it comes out after we set up the seams. So we're gonna hit U and unwrap. So that is actually quite good as well. So then when you have multiple things overlapping, that's bad. You don't want things overlapping. But currently these are good. This is showing to be a nice unwrap. But I would prefer to have a better unwrap of these metal parts. So let's add a seam here. Here we go. And grab those corners. Grab these corners.
If the frozen kind of
Change. Now you might see it's L. I want to unwrap. Right there. See, perfect. Those these guys right here. If you select L to select, then you got down here a menu. You can select seam, and it'll select what you have segmented by the seam. It's pretty cool. So hit the other L one, and you see we have them separate here. That's perfect. That's what we want. So if we select these guys, we have our separate parts all together, and then we're gonna move them around here and make them fit this image here so we can paint them. But for now, everything is looking very good. Those are perfect because you want them all to be together, and that's good. Okay, Control Save, and we actually unwrap this top part of the chest. So let's hit our space, our slash on the numpad, hit our tab, go to object mode, and then click down here, Let's go under this part while down here and hit press slash the numpad to be along with it. Tap to go into edit mode. And here's another cool thing that you can do. Currently on this one, we have our mirror spell on it. With our mirror spell on it, we can actually mark the seams and it'll transfer to the other side, which is very, very cool. And you don't have to do it all the way around. You just do it on one side. So currently, let's do the same thing again. L to select all these guys. Just hover over them. So hit the L key. Perfect. Now, move your mouse on this side. Click A. S to scale. Make them smaller. Move them to the corner. Great. Control S to save. And now I want to hit L and see how is this unwrapped. Right off the bat, this is a very good wrap. Should be fine. But let's do a better unwrap just by selecting these guys here and separating, the metal part. So you can Alt and click that, and if you can also hold Shift, hold Alt, and click, and you will continue to just move around it. Okay, so you can go back here and holding Shift and Alt, boom, you select the all around edge. Make sure, grab that same. Okay, now let's mark seam there. Let's grab these corners, holding Shift down. You can always undo with Control Z. Holding Shift down, I'm grabbing these guys. Okay, perfect. And at mark seam. Now let's holding Alt, click here so we can separate the insides. So let's mark that seam there. I want to grab these edges on here and all the way around the bottom here, mark seam. Okay, so we separate these guys, these walls, or we can actually unseam these guys. I believe clear seam for those, and that way this will all be a flat panel all the way around. Okay, so let's grab these edges here. I think this would help open this upper part here. And let's kind of Alt and just Control to go around, Control, and might see. Okay, so now that we have that, let's give it a try. L to select the box, L, select those bars. We're just gonna unwrap it. Okay, so that's pretty good. Looks pretty good. We have here some overlapping edges. So these are they seem simple enough to fix by hand, just by moving them around. But we can check out what's happening here also. Holding Alt, hitting L, select that, and G to move around. I believe we're missing some edges. You see that? We're missing some edges here. So what we can do is, in this case, is we have to make sure we finish these here. Right? Let's grab these guys here and Maxine. That could have been the inconvenience there. So let's try again, L, 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 and L here. And then we're gonna hit unwrap again. And yep, that was actually the inconvenience. Now you can see they are not overlapping anymore. You could fix these just for them to be a little bit more open and nicer for when you want to paint. You have a little bit more space to paint there. But overall, these seem to be fine. Yeah. So what you do here, again, it's like you select them just like any other vertices. Hit G to move them around. That's what I'm doing. You just wanna try to have them not also together. When they're two together and you're painting, they kind of cross, and sometimes it looks weird. So just it's called a little bit of UV cleanup. You can also hit L and you select them. Like you select the parts here. Hit L. You can move them around. Remember when you hit L that you can continue to hit L and select everything. So what you want to do is after you hit L, you want to click outside. You want to click in the emptiness, and then you can select something, because if not, you're going to be moving all the things. So click on the emptiness and then hit L again so you can select it. Let's move these guys around a little bit. Sorry. So let's select, hold your mouse, your left mouse, drag so you can select these. You can hit G and Y just to move on the Y axis. Hold Shift to select these, G and Y to move on the Y axis. And I want to make these a little bit smaller, G to move it. And it'll make it just a lot easier to deal with. They'll grab that space G, Y to move it down. G, Y to move it down. So now I'm going to grab this one, G. And I'm actually going to rotate it. And hit R to rotate. Type 180 just to click, just to, get it into a position that is, this is kind of like Tetris. You're playing a little bit Tetris here. Just making everything into the best space possible. Okay, so Control S to save. All these guys here, see where they are. They're okay there. Select off. Among those as close as you can. Remember to have these here. Okay, so we have this unwrapped. That's perfect. Slash a numpad to go out. Tap to exit. And now let's see how these guys are going. So you can hold Shift, select multiples of them, and hit Tab to go into edit mode. And you can actually unwrap all of them. So you can deal with this with a bunch of them at the same time, which is very neat. And they hit L, select this guy, A, select it all. Cylinders, they come nicely unwrapped. I try not to do with them much. If it's just a cylinder, it's cool. Like this flat part right here is the long part, and the top and bottom circles. So it's very good. Now down here, I would like to, let's go into So if you hover over this menu here and scroll your wheel, you can move your menu. Very convenient. So let's go into X-ray so we can see. Hit the dot on the numpad so you can rotate on the selected. Click here, for example, dot, and then you can zoom in and rotate on the selected. So what we're gonna do is let's select with Alt that part there. Select here with Alt, Shift Alt, select the other part, and U to mark scene. Now let's grab this, and this. So it opens up U and mark scene. Great. Now let's get out of X-ray, and I want to see how this one is unwrapped. This is unwrapped perfectly. This is great. You really don't need to deal with this. So let's leave it at that. Select, and these guys seem to be good. Let's L, hit U, and unwrap that to nicer form. Now you see it's only half. When we apply the mirror, you only have to paint half of it, and the other half is gonna be painted itself in the mirror as well. So that's very good. It helps a lot. But for example, let's just click this and apply. Let's apply solidify. No, Control C. That issue that happened there is because we need to have our mirror on top. Now we apply our mirror. We apply our solidify. And when we hit unwrap, there we go. We got the two parts. Very nice. But let's Control Z.
And when that's right.
Control Z all the way back till we have these here. And let's just stay like this for now. Okay, so let's grab all, hit all key, the A to select all, tab to enter edit mode, and just hit A again, and you'll have everything here. What we need to do is to organize this. So let's start with this large one. Else to scale down and move it to the corner. I want to grab these arrows out. I'm going to scale it down. Rotate it a bit. Leave that there. Click on one of the vertices, L to select. I'm going to rotate it with R, S to scale down. And I'm going to rotate this and just put it right there. Rotate this. And immediately I noticed this one is, because we undoed, we went back in the history of this one. No, actually it's a wrap. So that's nice. I thought it wasn't a wrap. So either way, hit A to grab them all. We have this part right here. And we can fit this up here on the top. So click on this, L to select, S to scale. You just leave it like that. Now we have here, we want to grab these guys and actually scale them to the point that they are almost together. That's what you want. You want them to be like overlapping on top of each other. So select this one and this guy and scale them just so you can have them if you hold shift, you can make more precise moves. Sometimes when you have them all grabbed up. Don't worry.
You just continue moving. They will align eventually. So you just put them in the center, hold shift and scale until it's close enough. Hold, scroll them, the center, scale, grab the other one, G to move, center, scale, G to move, center, scale, G. You just continue making these guys. You just be as together as possible. Eventually, what we're trying to do here is that when we paint these, they would all get that same coloring at the same time. It'll save us a little bit of time. Just continue to film. One thing that you can do is you can select and hit Alt, Shift Alt. We can move these guys up. Let's Control Z and not move them. So let's go ahead and continue to move these guys. As long as they are, around the same area, we'll be fine because these are not going to be very noticeable. These are the small parts, so these are mainly going to grab a little bit of color and shading, not a lot. However, it is good to try to have them all in the same place. We do have a lot of these just because of the rivets. I do suggest that future work, if you ever encounter something similar to this, try to think ahead. But don't worry if it happens, because this happens very often. It's something very common that happens. So now let's just try to grab all these guys. There we go. We can move all these out of the way. Now I'm going to try to grab this, and with holding Control, I'm on select these other guys and try to. There we go. Perfect. Now that way we have them more separate and it's a lot easier to deal with. You can if you can press L repeatedly and grab a couple of them that are together at the same time. Just remember to click the empty space so you don't grab them all.
Was out. That's the first Ellington.
See, this right here, you want to avoid this, because when you go and do this, you're going to be selecting a few of them that you don't want. Okay, so again, continue. We're almost done here. After this, the rest is quite simple.
There we go. So let's keep moving these with L, G, and move. L, G, and move. L, G, and move. L, B, and move. L. Keep continue. Select L, G, and move. And now we have them almost all together. We can grab a little bit of the underline here. Let's move it out. We're just gonna, paint all over that, and all of it'll grab a more symmetrical feel. So select these guys. Now we can move them here. Now click L to select, scale it down, swoop this one here. L to select, move it here. I'm gonna click L to select these two. I'm gonna move it up here. It's nice to have, the long one is all around the edge. And you can scale some of them down if you want to fit them in specific places. Like Chris, I'm going to fit this one here. Would be good. And grab L. And this one I'm actually going to rotate, hitting 90. So R, 90. Click to confirm. Just move it there. L, G. Get it smaller. Fit it there. Not too close. L. Click L, G, R, 90 to rotate. G to move it a little bit more. Actually, I want that curve. So I'm going to select it all with L, R, and then type 180. It'll flip 180 degrees right there. And I want to kind of get this here. So what I'm going to do is select and scale it down a bit more. Click this one. Let's scale it down a little bit more. So parts are very symmetrical. You can, for example, try to make them overlap like this. And when you paint, they'll have kind of the same textures and colors. So that's nice. L, and let's rotate 90. Put these guys here. Now L on this one. This can get a little bit bigger. Put it there. L and L. Or we can make these guys bigger. So let's rotate them. R, rotate, and make them a tad bigger than here. L, we'll separate them. And we have our UV map. Actually, this came out very nice. We still have some space to deal with, but let's leave it at that for now. And let's start dropping some colors. Okay, so now let's head out to our texture. Let's go into object mode. And let's go here into our properties and hit our materials tab. And let's make sure that our objects do have material. This one doesn't have it, so let's use. We can select already made materials by selecting this drop down here. Just select that one, or you can just make a new one if you prefer. But let's try to keep everything in one material. Okay, so let's click here on our viewport shading. Select our material view, and here on the base color, see this little dot. Let's click it. We're gonna have options come up. Let's select image texture under texture section. Now that we have an image, here you see the plus sign. You're gonna see that it's to make a new image. We're gonna click that, and here we have like a creation file. Type a name, and let's call it treasure chest at last texture,
and I'll explain later.
So now we want to click here, and we want to double this. The way we can double it is by using the asterisk key on the numpad. Click, put an asterisk, that's a multiplication, and then put a 2 to double it, and hit enter. You see, it'll just duplicate it. So asterisk 2 and enter. Perfect. Now we're gonna select our color, and I want actually to pick the brown color, and I'm gonna pick like a darker brown color because we're gonna add it's easier to add light. And if you take in some painting class, this is where you're gonna be able to put all the whatever you've learned to practice. It's very nice. So I think this is a nice color. If you want to have the exact same color, it's just go here into the hex tab and type 3B2512. Just type the numbers here, and then and hit enter, and you'll have same color I just picked. All right, but you can pick whatever color you prefer. Since the wood is gonna be in most of the places, that's why I picked brown. Okay, now hit OK. And that.
That's it. Pick it back.
Okay, so you see that when we hit that, it didn't come up because but it was saved. So if it did not come up, just make sure you go here and you click your image texture. Just make sure you did that, and go here and select that texture you grabbed. This one, as you can see, we did not select a texture for it, so let's just grab material. And let's change the name of the material as well to call it to treasure chest texture atlas, just to make sure everybody has the same one. Okay, now let's hit tab. We'll see that we have all UV map set up there. Hit tab. We have your UV map set up here. Perfect. Okay, so what we want to do now is clap here and go to texture paint. We'll have our image here. And let's start by dealing with the metal parts. Okay. So what we're going to do is, let's go to object mode first. Let's hit A to select everything. Now let's go to texture mode, and now we have everything selected. Okay, so we want to grab this here. Let's go back to object mode. Let's go piece by piece in case we don't want to get confused. Sometimes when you have different parts and you have everything selected, it might not be the best idea. So let's just go and let's start with this part right here. Texture paint. And this option right here is paint mask. This is like edit mode for painting. So when you select it, you'll be able to select only parts with the L key with it, as you did in the UV mapping. Right now, everything is selected. Let's hold Alt and hit the A key to deselect. Everything goes white. That means it's not selected. Now hover over the metal part and hit L. As you can see, this got selected and the metal part got selected. Let's grab the other one, L. Perfect. Now we have those selected. Let's grab these guys, and I want to give them a tone of gray, and then we're gonna grab the rivets and give it another different tone of gray. what we're gonna do now is we have our text, our brush here. Let's grab our fill tool, and on top here, we're gonna click, and we're gonna move it up a little bit. Get that darker gray you see here. So just scroll it up a little bit by holding your mouse and get that. Mine is 22222. And now you can close that, click on it, and then you just have to press and click on it. And it would just went all white. Let's figure out why. All right, so let's go here and make sure you have your brush fill that it's the right tool. When sometimes if you have some certain add-ons, you might have the wrong tool, so just make sure you have the correct fill. Okay. Now just click on it, and we have the dark gray that we wanted. Now let's continue, and that's Alt A, and that's L on the rivets, is to select these guys. You can just remember sometimes you cannot. So you gotta start over. Just hit L. Try not to hit L on the other parts. So okay, so let's just select these guys right here. Can go a little bit slower just to make sure. If you select something that you don't want, then you just hit Alt A and deselect everything and just start grabbing them again. Okay, so now we have our rivets, and I want to get a slightly lighter color. So just click on it, and all our rivets have the same color. You remember that we put them all in the same place. See this right here? That same color, and that's what we wanted. So let's just hit Alt A and select everything. Okay, now let's turn this off. And I want to go on this side right here and just click on the color, click on this tool, and I want to sample that color. I want to save that color because that's the color we're going to go and add to this guy. So now let's, Control C. Make sure you need to be on object mode. Okay. Now on object mode, you select it. Now let's go to texture mode. Click here, Alt A, and now let's select those. Okay, that's good. Now let's color it. Perfect. Now Alt A, select the rivets. Oh, we don't need to. We actually already painted the rivets because they're all together. Saves the time. Now let's go back to object mode. Now let's grab these guys right here. Let's go to texture mode and let's paint them. Object mode, grab this one, texture mode, hit all. If it's all white, that means it's not selected. Just hit A to select it, paint it, Control S to save. And now you remember I told you about the little asterisk, that means it's not saved. So we need to go here and save it. Now it's gonna ask us to put a name on it, but it already has the name of the material. So remember, if you save the material, put the name there correctly. You don't have to add it here. Now we just have to click Save As. And the next time you hit Save, it will save. You can also Alt-S, and it'll save on this side. On this side, you need to do Control-S. Alt-S. Okay? Don't do Alt-S on this side. It will just mess with your with whatever object you have selected. Alt-S is for the texture side. Okay, so I'm actually thinking I want to have this color, the same color right here. So let's go grab here our sampler tool, grab this color, go to texture mode and paint it. Well, I think it looks nicer, for sure. All right, Control Save, Alt Save. Well, I noticed we didn't grab this part right here. Okay, so now let's go back to object mode, select it, texture, and L, go here, sample tool, sample the color, and color it. Now we can exit object mode, and we're good to go. Okay, so we messed up somewhere, and that is because we had the rivet selected. Control Z, multiple times until you get that. With the texture mode. Grab, sample this. How? Make sure you use Alt A to deselect everything because you have something selected. And now we paint it. Perfect. Object mode. Nice. Save. Alt S save. We have our chest. Now let's dive into the wood. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the top part. Texture, Alt A. Remember to select this, Alt A, and Alt here. Now let's grab this one, and you can do this with a tablet, but I'm gonna do it with the mouse, just because a lot of people don't have it, and we're gonna be creative. You don't need to be super specific with it. We're just trying to be a little bit more creative.
You're gonna see here that if I draw a line, you're gonna see the line coming out here. If I do this, the line
comes up this side. So just grab your tool. Now what we're gonna do here is on our strength, we're gonna lower our strength to maybe, you can type it 0.3. I think that's a good one. And we're gonna start throwing some diagonal lines. You don't have to be perfect because it's wood. We'll just throw that out there. You can control this if a line doesn't look how you wanted it to. Then we can leave that as a large plank. And we're making just large planks here. Control S. So if you are far away, paint thicker. So sometimes when you are zooming out, that might happen, just so you have it in mind. Okay, good. I think that's nice. Now let's make another one here. Good. Now I want to get sample of this brown, and I want to change this to multiply. Now Alt S to save, Control S to save on this side, and I'm going to just drop, let's lower this to 2, make it smaller, and just drop some dark lines here, just like the wood planks, right? Remember, you can Control S. Let's make like a little circle there.
make those wood lines. Right, we're making wood, doesn't have to be super perfect or symmetrical. It's good. Wood has imperfections, so don't worry about it. Okay? Sometimes when this happens here, that means that the UV was not spaced correctly. But what you can do to fix it is that if you paint on it, you'll notice where it is. So in this case, I know it's down here. So what you can do is you can try to see how that will get fixed, or you can go to UV editing mode, change to material mode, and down here you can actually give it a little fix. You can just move these around a little bit. So what we're noticing here is that this needs to be a little bit more open for the other side to look nice. This side doesn't really matter because that's the inside of the chest. So let's just move this quite a bit so we can actually give this a little bit more space here. And see if that helps. Sometimes it does it. But again, it's just a little bit of trial and error. And it happens commonly. You just want to try to do the best you can. And there we go. So now we can draw our line here. Let's do a smaller line. Perfect. Okay, so just give it a little bit more space and it'll look fine. Now, if you kind of want to add some highlights and, make some nice details, some nice curves. So wood is not too perfect. I like to add some curve on some of the parts here. And just give it a little bit of organic feel. And we're doing this with the mouse. If you have a tablet, by all means, enjoy using it. It's very nice. You have more control of detail. Okay? So now that we have that, I'm going to go ahead and move to mix. I'm going to color pick this color right here. Color pick this color. The strength is good. And I'm gonna go to object mode, go down here, texture, and I want to hit L to select this and try to get our lines on this guy right here. Oh, Alt to deselect. Remember, you want to select only the wood. Make sure you select only the wood. Okay, so now to make this a little bit bigger, you can hit the F key and you can make it bigger. Hold shift to have more control of the size. So now we have our UVs here. Hold this and just make it a little bit smaller.
We have more space.
Now I want to throw the line here. Or throw another line here.
And since we have the mirror spell, you can see how you are painting on both sides. That is very cool. You can see it here. You see that? It's very neat. So I want to grab kind of where it continues. Just do a little mark there so we know where the wood kind of goes from. And that way we can go all the way around it. Sometimes because of the light, it gets a little bit dark when you're rotating. So you can click here on this drop down and just off the strand of the light. Remember, if you don't see it, you just need to hover over this part and scroll with your mouse wheel. Okay, so let's make that part this here and this move down here. Great. Nice. Now let's remember Alt S to save, Control S to save. Let's grab our other color, this one, and switch to multiply. And now let's make color lines. I think I want to make my radius a little bit smaller, split 2. I'm going to Control C back because I want to have those nice lines. So one thing you gotta remember is that when you're using the mirror, the lines are gonna look very symmetrical. So if you don't want that, for example, let's go Control back. We can go to Object Mode. And we can apply the mirror. And then we just need to move it around here. But in this case, let's just continue with it. Just so you know, you apply the mirror and then you move the seams so they're not on top of each other, okay? Perfect. So in this case, I don't mind. Let's just continue. Make those lines. Keep making those, just wiggly lines. They don't have to be perfect. You want them to be organic. So randomness is nice. Gives it that feel of it being natural. Okay, great. Now let's move up to our object mode and go to this part right here that we did not paint. Texture paint, remember Alt S to save, Control S to save, Alt A to deselect everything, and L to select this, guys. I'm gonna grab my color here, switch back to mix. I'm gonna make those lines. Actually, gonna select this just so I can notice kind of where we want to make those lines. So let's make it one here. I'm gonna make a darker one down here just to separate that part right there. Great. And since we put these two together, you can see that we only painted one side. That's very good. Alt A, L, and L. Okay, so now we're gonna go into multiply, select our brown, lower our brush to 2, and just make those nice wood lines. and wood, sometimes it gets really close to each other, but they don't overlap much. So if you can get, you know, very creative making the wiggly lines, but just make sure that the lines don't really touch each other a lot. Okay? Okay, so let's take this down, save Alt S, and it's looking very good so far. Right? Very cool. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna switch this here to screen. Screen will make it lighter. We can use the same color and paint on it, and you'll see it'll make it lighter. So what we're gonna do here is that we want to paint a little bit on top, and we need to lower strength to like 0.1. Make our brush a little bit bigger, and we want to paint in between. And you can click a couple of times, just like passing a brush on those in between areas. Just grab the larger areas first. Don't worry about the smaller ones. You can get those later. You just want to give it a little bit of that wood feel. Fact. And you can see it starts to look nice wood texture. And again, don't worry about it being perfect. This is stylized design. Hey, so here we encounter a little issue. You can see those there. We are overlapping the metal. We don't want to do that, so we have to try to go Control C as much as we can and hit and have this and Control L, and we can only select those. Then we'll clean these guys up later on. You see those lines are painted there. We'll clean them up later on, but you don't want that. Okay, so it's very important that you select this and make sure you're painting on the right side. So let's go back to it. Keep dropping those light colors on the wood. Control, you can hit the T key and just close that tool. And there we have it here, so it's not a problem. Just keep painting those light colors. Let me just keep clicking. You see how many times I'm clicking, because the strength is so low, you're not gonna see a lot of it happen. But that'll give you more control on how much it is spread. So just click a bunch of times. If you're using a pen, you just pass the pen multiple times on top of it. And that'll do it. Okay, great. Let's just put a little bit more here. Great, Control S, and on this side Alt S to save it. Let's go to object mode. Let's clean these guys up. So let's go texture mode, Alt A, and select these. And I'm gonna go here, select the color, go to mix, select my fill. Oh, and it's not filling up, and that's because of my strength. Let's put our strength all the way up, and they're clean. Okay. Just remember to select correctly. Now we have that. Actually, let's actually finish up this metal tips. This is quite easy. You just want to do a screen. You have that color there. This here. Let's put it a little bit bigger. What you want to do is let's lower our strength.
Let's lower it to maybe like 0.2 and see how that works.
We need to move this to the screen. There we go. There we go. Perfect. So what you want to do is like, this is a little bit more, 0.5, 0.05. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so we want to paint the center of it. If you want to grab that center of the metal, you can put 0.08, maybe a little bit more. There, you want to grab that center of the metal. Get that in there. Give it that tone in between. It's very nice. So you can also already see that it looks a lot more like metal. Have that kind of shine on it. Let's click this here, Alt A, like select these guys. You can probably just select one of them. It'll get painted, but let's up our strength. Let's do that there. And what we want to do is I want to change this to multiply. I just give it another tone. Hit that shine on the corner. Perfect. Now let's get back to screen. Alt A, L, L, L. Selected those. Now we're gonna go and just paint a little light on the edges. That's gonna give it a real nice steel bar feel. Just on the edges. And in the corners, give it that extra shine. If you don't want to press too much, you kind of want to add more, you can just up the strength. No biggie. All right, so I think we have a little bit too much. I'm gonna make my brush bigger a little bit and just try to get some of that out. Paint the center a little bit darker. There we go. Now we have that feeling like a nice steel. Let's go back to screen. Paint corners here. Nice. Looking very nice. Control save. Alt S to save. Now let's move down to our lower part. Alt A to deselect. Select these guys right here. We're gonna do the same. Just paint, do some strokes. Do some strokes there. Let's strokes on the border. All right, coolio. Let's go back to multiply, which makes it darker, and just do a little bit in the center here. And there we go. Perfect. Alt A. Turn this off. That's looking super good. Alt S to save. Now let's go into object mode. Oh, we're good. Let's finish up this wood texture here. Texture. And we'll go to screen. Color. Pick our color. And just remember to put our strings to 0.05. And paint those lights within here. Now I'm going to 0.08, give it a little bit more light. And again, we're doing that. I've been doing that. That's not good. So let's go back. What we do, select this, Alt A, and select just the wood texture. Okay. Now errors happen. There's a lot of things going on, so it's really cool if you just chill about it, enjoy the process, don't worry about it too much. So it's really good to have or take a little bit of art course or coloring, just so you can understand why certain things are done and what is the process of them being done. So, like for example, this dropping the light color on the darker color gives it that feel that it's, three-dimensional, and it has depth, and light is actually reacting to it. So we're being creative on this one. You can always take more time if you want to get it, a lot more nice, a lot more detailed on the lights and the colors. Right now, this is a kind of low poly stylized chest. Very nice for a game. Let's drop those lights here. You start to see how it gives it that very nice 3D feel. Nice. Okay, so now that we have this right here, let's go on top of this one and finish up this size. Remember, Alt A, L, and L. Some of the parts, they don't have a lot of light, so perfect. Now that we have that, let's drop a little bit of dark. You want to drop some dark all around here. It's the part where, it's around. Just put here and drop a little bit of dark with the multiply around the edges of this part, around the arrow. It just can be a little bit messy. That's enough. You can let that feel that something has been there for a while. There we go. Now let's go to object mode, grab this side, and texture mode, and let's do the same. Use around here. And it gives it that 3D feel. It's so nice. On the corner. Now on this one, I'm going to give it
some color there.
just to give it that differentiation. And then it opens there. It's perfect. Nice. So now we have here, there's some parts in the wood that you can just drop some darkness also. And then give it that extra woody kind of feel. Don't do it too much, just in some areas. And the bottom part of the chest should be darker just because, it's closer to the ground, gets dirtier. It gives it that dirty feel, which is nice. Again, some parts can have a little bit more dark in them. As part of the wood. Cool. Control S, Alt S to save. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish up this part right here, and we are done with our chest. Object mode, Control save, Alt S to save. Let's grab this guy here, texture, and let's go here and grab our color. Our color is this on the screen mode, and just give it that center feel. If you hold shift and hit F, you can up and lower the strength. I'm gonna up the strength a little bit just to get these edge parts done. And now I'm gonna go to multiply, hit shift F to lower it, and get that a little bit darker in the center. Perfect. Alt S to save here. Go to object mode, click this, texture mode, switch to screen, and shift F to make it bigger, and just gonna give it a little bit more shine. I shift F. There we go. Might need to, because it's a lighter color. So in this particular one, I'm going to show you another tool. It's called the smudge tool, the smear in this case. Make the brush bigger, and you can kind of blend in slowly. Don't overdo it. Shift F to lower the power, but you can blend in the colors and the brushes. It's very nice to fix up some of the hard edges. And let me show you, for example, if we go to object mode, go here and go to texture mode, and we have the smear tool, you can start to, polish a little bit of those rough edges. You can give it a little bit of a nicer touch. If we select here and go to texture, you can mess around a little bit and just clean up those edges. Well, let's grab this from here and just have more space here, and we can clean up a little bit more. Shift F to make it a little bit more powerful. As you can see, it just starts to kind of blending those colors and gives it that nice kind of smooth feel. And this is just depends on the style you want to go for. I actually like how it looks with the rough paint for me, it just makes it look a little bit more artistic. But if you want to have smoother edges, it's nice to clean up some of the extra lights. You want to move some of the shadows around. And this is a nice way to clean up. Okay. Alt A and just, for example, select these guys. And metal is very nice just because metal in itself is a smoother surface. So it's nice to just drop a little bit on the metal. Select the upper part, texture, Alt A, and a smooth piece. A little bit up from there, but more. And try to go always along the paint. Don't try to do this because you'll cross it and then it'll just look out of place. It'll look out of place, so just make sure you just go in favor. You can make and click multiple times just to get that extra sauciness there. All right. So let's object. Click our little cylinder from here. That head. Same here. You can also paint here in this texture. Grab our brush, screen, and for example, cylinder, you want to do some see its cost. That's what you want to make sure that is not going. So sometimes kind of it's better to just go over the area that you already know. Okay, so I want to give it a nice shine right here on the center. And now we're gonna go into multiply. That's too powerful. Let's lower strength and just get those corners. So I'm actually gonna do it here. We're darkening the rivets. So I'm gonna go ahead and go out right here just to, there we go, just to give it a little bit of the darkness. And just leave that shine there. Let's go back to our screen and I'm gonna just overdo the shine here. And then I'm gonna grab my smudge tool and just gonna do some smearing. Be able to get that nice smear. Control S, Alt S to save. And we actually have a chest. Very cool, all right? And just to show you quick how it would look in our Unity environment, we'll just drop it in Unity for a second, but now I want to show you how to export. Go to File. Let's go to a layout first. You can click here just to see your chest. Now you want to grab all of it and let's name this top. And this is gonna be that's actually part of the lock, so lock metal. This is the lock ring. And the lock ring, actually, we can just merge it. Control J to merge with the lower part. Because this part, we might want to move it later on. But let's just keep this and this hold together. Control J to join it. Now it's just one. We told a nice top part, the lock metal, and this is the lower part. You got these two images. We can now select them and delete them if we don't need them anymore. Control S to save. Now, hold your mouse, drag to select, go to File, Export, FBX. Your window's gonna pop up. You want to put a different name. I like to select this selected objects and export FBX. Now, if you go to your folder that you have it, you can find it here if you want. If you go to your folder, you'll notice that you have your chest here. Perfect. If you're Windows 10, you can double click it and actually it'll open. And 3D viewer. Now let's make sure we have our textures. And here we go. We got our textures. This is our chest texture, our atlas. That's great. Jump into Unity real quick and show you. Okay, so we're here in Unity. This is a scene I have, sample scene, where I test some of my work. And it's easy just to bring anything into Unity. Just make sure you have a folder, or you can just right click, create, and create a folder. But I have one here that I just dropped most of my things. If I can find it. Here we go, test models. Okay, perfect. So let's just open all folder. You want to grab your texture and your stylized chest file. You want to drop it here. You can see drop in the chest. It's quite big. But that's something super easy to fix. Let's just delete it and add it. I just want to show you guys how it looks. There we go. Nice looking chest. I'm gonna create a material for it. Thighs within the chest. Sub that material there. Actually, I'm just gonna put it here. Apply it. And let's drop the texture on it, and voila. Hard texture looks very nice. We're gonna change this to nicer, more toned color. And there we go. We got our chest. Very, very neat. It doesn't it? I think it looks super cool. I really like it. And let's open it. Ooh, it opens. Isn't it? It's very trippy. We can open the chest. We can actually open this part right here and just make it move. There's a lot of things we can do with it. It's very cool. Okay, that's it. I just wanted to show you how it looked inside the Unity, how it will look in the game. I can maybe just show you around. And here we go, our chest. This is a chest you guys made. It looks super badass. You guys are super cool. And it's just a little bit more practice and you can be making a lot of other things. All these things right here. All right. Well, it's been awesome. I had a ton of fun. I'll see you in the next course, next class.